Hello and welcome to Conversations. This is a series of interviews we record on site in person from around the world. And this time we are coming from Singapore, where we are at the Transport Logistic Southeast Asia and Air Cargo Southeast Asia. And with me in conversation today is Asok Kumar, the new CEO of Morrison Express. Ashok, great to have you for this conversation.
Thank you for having me, Reji. Pleasure to be here.
Ashok, it's been 3 months since you've taken the charge of the Chief Executive Officer of Morrison Express. Reasons as to why you picked up this job and what has been the experience since the 3 months that you've been in this company.
Well, for a start, Morrison may not be that well known in the market simply because they don't publicize themselves. It's a very humble company. But without doubt, Morrison has a lot of capability. Reggie, I look at Morrison as what I call the sleeping giant. It has so much of capability, but somehow it is not optimized on its products and solutions and what it can do in the market. And that's why journeys of this nature excite me, where I enter a company where I see there's a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity, and I'm obviously able to bring some expertise to that table and bring Morrison to the next level. So that's an exciting journey for me, to be involved in a company where I can actually add some value in this regard with some products and solutions. And inevitably, whatever we put forward is going to help our customers. And that's basically what I'm all about in terms of being in the cargo industry and supporting our customers in the right way to ensure our supply chains around the world can evolve and eventually support the general public. So yeah, very, very exciting times in Morrison. I'm very happy to be a part of that journey. So this is why I took this opportunity.
What is the brief to you from Morrison?
Well, it's really the next journey of growth. So Morrison, under the previous ownership and management, has actually done extremely well over the last 20, 30 years. They've grown from a relatively small transportation logistics company in Taiwan into what is now a global company, serving all regions, Europe, Asia, and the United States and Americas. And I think they've reached a point where they're looking for that next leap of growth. And the brief to me has basically been coming in and looking at where we can actually achieve that, how we can go forward and get to the next level of growth. And that's what I'm here to do.
Ashok, what is mid to long term view? What are your key priorities for Morrison?
So we're now working on a 5-year plan. So that's the window we've looked at. I would say it's a midterm plan. And that midterm plan has us looking at areas where we are very strong in now. We are very well known in the high-tech and semicon business arena. So how we can further build solutions in that space, which is our area of strength. So that will be one component of our next journey of growth. And then obviously we also want to look at other areas, other vertical markets like healthcare and automotive and industrial, where we could also use some of the solutions that we have today for our high-tech semicon customers and best case practices and bring them across into these industries. Of course, we also need to build some competence in these areas. Healthcare is a very sensitive area which requires specific competencies which we need to build as well, and that's going to be part of our journey. There are some geographies where we are represented, but we could perhaps be better represented. Europe is a fantastic arena for growth. People call it a mature market, no doubt, but there's still so many opportunities for growth. We have a representation in Europe. We are stable, we're quite strong. We can do more in that arena. Asia is obviously our area of strength. Even though it is our area of strength and we have seen very good growth here, but there are still more opportunities in this space as well. So there's a lot of things we're going to do over the next 5 years, a lot of solutions which our customers will start to see coming from us, and always never forgetting our very strong customer focus and affinity. That, Reggie, is one of the strengths of Morrison. Coming into this company, I feel I have a very strong customer affinity and focus, and what I like about the Morrison culture is it very much suits me because they're all about the customer. They're all about passion. They're all about supporting our customers in the right way. That really rings a bell with me. So that's also, to your first question about why I joined Morrison, that's also why I did so.
What are the ideas for global expansion? You have a very strong focus in Asia, Southeast Asia. What are the key markets that you're looking to expand, and what kind of positioning are you looking at for Morrison?
So we have a presence in Europe, as I mentioned, in Germany and in Netherlands, in London, so on and so forth. We could do more in that area. So certainly we're going to be focusing on Europe as our next area of growth. Asia, we are strong. Australia and New Zealand are areas where we can branch into and get into, and India, of course. India, we set up an office there last year, and we're looking to expand in India as well, because that's obviously is well known to be the next area of growth. And then if you look at the Americas, Mexico, US, and Canada, again, we have strong representation, but clearly we can also do a lot more in these areas. So these three main segments or these three main geographies are areas where we will further strengthen and grow. Obviously, the Middle East and Africa is an interesting market, Latin America as well. So those would be new markets that we would want to break to in the mid to long term, I would say.
Morrison is part of a bigger entity, bigger organization. So how do you intend to leverage the bigger entity, and then how do you want to expand into global markets? Because it's also another forwarding company part of the bigger group.
That's correct, Reggie. So on the 20th of May, Morrison was acquired by Sagawa Group Holdings. So now we belong to Sagawa Group Holdings. Very proud, very happy to be part of the Sagawa Group now. Very professional, also having very strong growth ambitions. They have something called the new journey. It's what they call the new growth journey in Sagawa. And part of that new growth journey is what they're doing with us, Morrison, plus Expo Freight, which is a sister company of ours now. So together we're looking for synergies and we're looking for areas of growth. What I really look forward to and what I like about Sagawa is they have a very forward-looking, strong growth ambition, which very much suits what we're trying to do in Morrison in terms of the next level of growth. So we're getting a lot of strong support in relation to areas where we can cooperate, we can synergize, and we can move forward. And what is very interesting is the culture of Sagawa very much matches the Morrison culture. Very, very strong customer focus, quality, and there's a lot of good things they do which we can learn from as well. Best practices that we can take on board in Morrison, and to the point about the next journey of growth for Morrison, adapt those practices and then help us to grow as well. So a very complementary fit, very excited about it, very proud to be a part of the Sagawa group now. And I think when I speak to the Morrison colleagues and my team, they are equally excited about this. So I just see the future looking very bright for us.
Ashok, let's talk about automation, artificial intelligence, digitalization. These are key areas of interest for anybody in the logistic world. What are your reflections about digitalization, automation of logistic process, and how significant are they for Morrison?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Reggie. I mean, when we talk about digital transformation and automation, of course, the buzzword AI always shows up. And there's a lot of hype around AI, but absolutely, it's not just hype. It's very real. I think the important thing for people to note is, for us to note as well, is AI is there, but how you use it is the most important part of it. How you make use of AI in the right use cases, then you would get the full benefit of it. Because without doubt, the adoption of AI is critical and super important. The companies that are able to adopt this technology in the right way will be the clear winners. Whether you're big, you're small, if you adopt it in the right way, it doesn't matter. Size is not important. You will become the leader in the industry. You can't run away from that. So we're moving on a very strong journey of digital transformation. A part of that obviously is what you mentioned about automation and digitization, but a big part of that is AI. And when we talk about automation, Reggie, I mean, there was a time where automation was introduced primarily because high labor costs, and then you bring in automation, and over the mid to long term, you're going to get savings in this regard. I think automation has come to a point where in mature markets like Europe and even in Japan, you just cannot find the labor. So it's not even a question of cost play. It's a question of you don't have the resources to do the jobs that you need to do. And so you have to get into automation because otherwise the work will not be done. So I think there's another component of automation which goes beyond cost saving, which is just about lack of labor in the industry, lack of qualified labor, and automation would be the solution in that space. So very heavy adoption of automation, of technology and AI, and it's going to be a big part of that. You asked me about the journey that we're having here. I talked about the next 5 years. A key component of our 5-year growth plan will be automation, will be AI, and we will adopt it in a very big way.
Ashok, your company is based and started in Taiwan, and that's also the country or the place known for semiconductor manufacturing innovation. You mentioned semiconductor is a significant portion of your business, and we have seen the AI adoption and hyperscaler data centers coming across different parts of the world. How significant is going to be the cargo coming from the AI application sector?
Very, very significant, Reggie. I mean, in a way, sometimes when you talk about business, people say you need to be lucky, as simplistic as it sounds, but it's a fact that sometimes luck plays a part in growth and in business success. And in that way, I mean, we are lucky. Yeah? We are in Taiwan, as you said, and this is where more or less the heart of AI, the center. There's some very big companies that are dominating that space, and they are based out of Taiwan. So in that way, Morrison is very, very well positioned. That AI, that growth around products supporting AI, let's put it like that, be it servers and so on, is tremendous. It's absolutely tremendous. Regardless of the geopolitical situation and trade wars and anything else that may be happening around the world, this component or this aspect of the business does not seem to diminish. So in that way, we're in the right place. Many of our customers are involved in those industries. It is our area of strength, as I mentioned before, high tech and semicon. So we continue to support these customers in the way they need to. They direct us in the right way as well in terms of telling us where they are investing and how they are growing, and we obviously are building products to support that. So, no, I mean, the question on where that's going, I just don't see it diminishing at all. I just see it continuing to pick up pace, and that's the future to me.
So I want to end this conversation asking you to reflect on the current global air freight market. You've been long enough in this industry, have seen the ups and downs of global air freight and global trade. What do you think are key trends that you notice in the global air freight market, given the kind of geopolitical situation that we are in? It's constantly evolving. What are your reflections?
Yeah, I just think, Reggie, you're right. I've been around for 20 to 30 years in this industry, and after 2019, going into 2020, the very famous COVID time, it doesn't seem to abate. There's one, if I can use the word, crisis after another. COVID obviously over, but then you had other geopolitical considerations, wars happening in different locations. Now we've got the trade situation developing as well. So the industry seems to be moving from one event to another in this regard. So we are constantly on our toes in this way. And what I would say is interesting is through COVID, with that experience, the industry has adapted. So when one new turn happens, be it a geopolitical event, be it a economic trade event, we adapt quickly and we move on. But what then becomes inevitable is predictability is very, very difficult. This is something which, be it partners, be it transportation partners, carriers, airlines, shipping lines, or be it customers, everyone is asking each other, what are you seeing and what is the trend, and how do we adjust to that, and how do we plan for it? And it's really difficult to put your finger on what might happen next and where we need to go next. What is clear is, this industry is here to stay. So the need for companies like us to continue to provide solutions and adapt and support our customers as much as we can with as forward-looking ideas of where the industry is going, so we can plan for that, becomes critical and key, as difficult as it is. And that's where we will continue to play our space. That's just the nature of what it is today, Reggie, and we align with that and move forward.
Ashok, do you see a changing relationship between forwarder, carrier, forwarder, shipper in the current circumstances?
I think there's a lot more communication between all parties. There's a lot more alignment in this regard. I'm not necessarily against it from a perspective of the industry as a whole working together to share intelligence and knowledge about where the industry is heading, so we can build the right tools and digital transformation. A big part of the digital journey is about having a seamless stream of data from a single source, and this has been constantly talked about by different transport organizations. So the ability for us to come together and set that common standard and mapping is critical for all of us to benefit and prosper. I welcome the added engagement events like this, for example. There's no doubt about it, and sharing of information. If you call that a transformation or a change versus what it was before, where maybe the lines were a lot more drawn and siloed, yes, there is that change, but I don't necessarily view it as anything negative or bad. I think it's just an evolution of the industry. Again, just based off all the different events that have happened, Reggie, that everybody is now somehow communicating more effectively and trying to figure out together how do we deal with the different geopolitical or trade situations that may happen. So I think it's a inevitable evolution of our industry. Yeah.
We are in the last quarter of 2025. Is there going to be a peak season for 2025?
So it's interesting because everyone talks a lot about this forward loading and how to circumvent the tariffs. A lot of freight has moved in advance, particularly on the ocean shipping line. So you're not seeing that the peak season in terms of what happens before Christmas, which usually typically happens in the August, September, October period, had already happened earlier. And we saw that in terms of the volumes in the market. So the expectation was we're not going to have a significant peak season. What we are seeing is, yes, absolutely, I wouldn't call it a significant peak season, but there are definitely signs of things picking up, particularly over the last 2 to 3 weeks. So there's a semblance of a peak season in the market. We also see that in terms of capacity, availability, and rates as well. That's always an indicator. But the traditional industry trends, Reggie, of what used to be before, where it was very predictable in terms of when the peak season comes and when it doesn't, obviously that has also evolved and shifted. So that's part of this adaptability that I talked about, because the trends are no longer what it used to be. And to answer the question directly, we see a semblance of a peak season now, but certainly when you look at traditional peak seasons, it's not quite there. It's not.
Finally, what's your outlook for 2026?
I think 2026 is shaping up to be a challenging year. I think there's been a period of time where capacity in the market has not been so abundant. And if you look at specific origins, it's really constrained in terms of capacity. I think moving into next year, the expectations from the industry is there will be more capacity in the market. So inevitably, that leads to a different dynamic on the rates as well. But that's the outlook as it is now. And as we just said, things evolve so quickly. It might again surprise us and something different may happen. But as we sit here and talk, and based on all the information sharing that we've been talking about as well, the indicators are that we're in for a challenging year next year in terms of market dynamics and in terms of capacity versus supply. So I think we just need to prepare for that, Reggie. Yeah.
Asok Kumar, CEO of Morrison Express. Ashok, great to have you for this conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Reggie. As always, a pleasure. Thank you.